And for the Professional Development Award in Brick Lane, Ewan Gordon. Lewis Young. And for the Professional Development Award in Carpeting Joinery, Barry Hamilton Little. Alexander Urquhart. Jonathan McLennan. And for the Higher National Diploma in Arboriculture and Urban Forestry, Kirsten Summers. And for the Higher National Diploma in Engineering Systems, Robert James. Ian McKinnon. Colin Gray. For the Higher National Diploma in Forestry, David Hooper. Michael McNiven. For the Higher National Diploma in Quantity Surveying, Stephen Lauritsen. Stephen obviously can't be with us today. Moving on, the SVQ Level 4 in Construction Site Management, Building and Civil Engineering. They're not present today, but Kenneth Hossack and Thomas Murray received that award. Bachelor of Engineering, Electrical and Mechanical Engineering, Drew Boa. John Bowman. Jamie Branford. Karen Campbell. Campbell Chambers. James Elder. Daniel Fraser. Donald Lee Thompson. Lindsay Tokley. Donald McNeil. For the award of Bachelor of Engineering, Electrical and Mechanical Engineering, with distinction, Dave Johnson. Neil MacDonald. Brian Maven. Scott Peacock. Ryan Sabino. Brian Waugh. Jason Whitley. And for the award of Bachelor of Engineering, Energy Engineering, Ian McIver from Lewis Castle College. And for the award of Bachelor of Science, Architectural Technology, Samuel Cately. Brenda Johnston. Laura Keenan. Rachel MacLeod. And for the award of Bachelor of Science, Architectural Technology, with distinction, Angela Robertson. Tracy Stark. And for the award of Bachelor of Science, Sustainable Forest Management, Jake Phillips. Not here. And for the Bachelor of Science, Sustainable Forest Management with Arboriculture and Urban Forestry, Kevin Holt. Lyle Weston. For the BSc in Sustainable Forest Management and Forest Conservation, Douglas Priest. For the BA in Business Management with distinction, Elsabeth Kivataska. And that concludes the awards from the Faculty of Technology. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And now we move on to our guest speaker for this morning. Tim Campbell, MBE, is someone who has taken every opportunity, I think, that he's had available to him to develop a career in a very successful way. He was BBC Television The Apprentice winner in 2005 and had appeared working with Lord Sugar. I'm sure he may well mention that this morning. He's also, since that time, founded Bright Ideas Trust, which is a charitable social enterprise. And Tim is also now an advisor to Boris Johnson, the London Mayor, on enterprise and training. And he's also a successful author of a best-selling book, which the title of which was What's Your Bright Idea? And so I would very much like to invite Tim to the lectern now to address us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, wait, you said it was a celebration. Hold on a second. Let's try that again. Good afternoon, everybody. Fantastic. That's more like it. You should be incredibly proud. And I'm really proud to be part of your celebration today. Firstly, thank you very much for inviting me. And I just want to say a couple of thank yous to a couple of people that I saw walking up and down on the stage. Where's Caroline Deacon? Where's she hiding? No, she's kind of gone home already. Or Barbara McKay? They're all shy now. Oh, she's over here. Oh, there you are, over there. Mark Alexander Bow, where's he? Oh, you're over there. And all your families of those people, I just said, where are they? Oh, up there, they were waving. They're all quiet now. They're all quiet now. When they were walking up on the stage, the noises they were making for your celebration was fantastic. And to see the looks on some of your faces, the pride that you had, really warmed me, because actually you should be incredibly happy about what you've achieved. Yes, it's the beginning of a journey. I don't think it's the end of anything. It's actually the start of what you're going to go on to achieve. But it's incredibly proud to be a witness to what you're going to go on to do. I remember sitting there and remembering my mum, and I'll tell you a little story about my mum. My mum's a Jamaican disciplinarian of a mother, and for those, well, some of you understand exactly what that means. There was about 3 or 4 times I couldn't sit down for about 3 or 4 weeks because of the discipline she inflicted. But she was very old school, shall we say. But please don't report her to the NSPCC or anybody else. I run the marathon for them now, so it's okay. But no, she had this really great focus about how she was going to get us to do what we needed to do. And she had these mantras that many of the parents in the room might have remembered, like, this is my house, this is my rules. Some of you might have said that a few times. But her big one was about education, education, and education. She really wanted us, in order to climb that social mobility ladder, was to go to school and to be in the position where you are, to get a qualification, because she saw that as really important. Mainly because she grew up in a place in Jamaica, a little village called in St. Catherine, called Linstead, where she grew up, and she didn't have the opportunity to go to school. Not because she wasn't intelligent, but in order to get to the local school, she had to go about 10 miles, and she didn't want to sacrifice herself because the taxi driver didn't just want a fare to take her there. So she decided not to do that and to stay on a little farm in Jamaica selling chicken foot stew down the market, a delicacy you may not have ever tried up here. No, okay, we'll talk about that another time. But she really wanted us, when we were growing up, to make sure that we went to school and did as much as we could. But I didn't really listen to that growing up, because I had other drivers in terms of materialistic things that I really wanted. And I remember begging my mum before I went to secondary school for what I thought were the most important things at that time, which were a Nike Pegasus pair of trainers. They were basketball boots. I couldn't play basketball, but that was incidental. I had to have them because everybody else had them. And I remember begging my mum, can I have these boots, Mum? Please, I have to have them. I said, no, Tim, we can't afford them. So she went out and she got this Nick pair of boots with the E missing off the end and brought them back for me to wear and take to school on the first day of school. And everyone laughed at me just like you did, so thank you for bringing that back to me, much appreciated. I'm really not feeling the love here at the moment, I'm really struggling. But what it taught me from a very young age was that actually I could get everything I needed by using my head and my hands, because although my mum didn't have the money, what it forced me to do was go and get my first part-time job, working in a clearing company which used to go to houses and clear all the stuff out at the end of tenancies. And I was given the enviable job of cleaning cookers. And I had pink marigold gloves, and street credibility completely finished, and Brillo pads. They still make Brillo pads now. Oh gosh, I hate those things. I really hate them. But I could clean your cooker. I could make your cooker shine. And I used to get £20 every single weekend. Child labour laws weren't in those days. And I saved up the money and went and got my first pair of trainers. I remember walking into the shop, taking off my old trainers and putting them in the box and putting these brand new white, beautiful basketball boots on my feet. Walking out and they were glimmering. But you know the thing with white trainers, everyone wants to step on them? It wasn't going to happen. Not with my trainers. I'd slap you. It wasn't going to happen. Let me make that clear. And also, when it rained, like it might do when we go out this afternoon, I used to put plastic bags over the top of them to protect them. Listen, don't laugh. They were my trainers. I worked hard for those things. And I love my mum for giving me that drive and determination to go and get things that I wanted, because actually it stood me in really good stead. And actually, probably is the reason why I got to wear a gown just like you are now when I eventually graduated from university. And made my mum one of the most proudest mothers in the world, like many of those parents and relations who are in this room today, who are celebrating and sharing in your success. My mum actually faxed my certificate to everyone in Jamaica, so they all knew about that as well. Listen, I was the first Campbell to go to university. It was a big moment in my life. And actually, I got rice and peas every single Sunday, so it was all right to look after mum. But the important thing, and where I'm really fortunate now being a parent of 2 children myself, and I'm hoping that you have this kind of support that you've got from the institution here today, is that I didn't really know what to do with my piece of paper that my mum told me to pursue so hard. My passport to success, I didn't know what to do with it at the end of it. Because I pursued a degree in psychology, and to be perfectly fair, I didn't really want to be a psychologist. I just wanted to get a degree. And at the end of it, I didn't know what to do with it. And I went to work for the public sector, which I had a great career, and I didn't know where I was going in terms of direction. And I hope that you will use what I call the 5 Ps and the 2 Qs, and I'll explain those in a minute, to make sure you get the maximum opportunity of the success that you should celebrate today. The pride that I saw in your faces when you were walking up. There was a young lady I saw walk down the steps and waving her certificate in the air, and the grins that came on people's faces after they shook their hands. And I'm starting to wonder if there's a piece of lead in that hat that you were hitting them with, because the winces I saw on some people's faces when they were getting, maybe because it was messing up their hair, but we'll get to that in a second. But the pride that is what you should really focus on. Because although I went into the public sector and I did reasonably well and eventually sold my soul to the television devil, please don't ever do that, anyone in this room. Actually, if I'd taken wiser choices after I'd reached this pinnacle point that you are now, I should never have really needed a television show. And actually, working with lots of the people that I get to work with now in the companies that I run and the businesses that I work with, none of them have ever needed to do that because they've taken wise decisions. The 5 Ps that I'll talk about, the first one's passion. You spent an awful long time when you could have been doing anything else in the world to get to this point today where you've got this certificate and you've got your pretty gowns and your lovely outfits. Don't lose that passion. Use it to drive you to what you're going to go on to do next. Everybody will be talking about a plan that you might have. Who's been asked what they're going to do in 5 years' time? Who's ever been asked that question? I hate that question. It really gets on my nerves. And the reason for that, I'll tell you a little story. I work with a company up in the north of England. Well, I forgot, I am in the north of England. I forgot. But I worked with a company up in Nottingham, and I was doing some work with them, and they were a hotelier. The chief executive of the group, he decided that he wanted to, in his own words, kill his competitors on customer service scores. He was very determined. And he sent out to the whole board a challenge to raise the customer services points to make sure that they were best in the area. There was a guy on the board who worked in IT. He wasn't really seen as anything apart from the person who fixed the website, so he thought this was his time to make a difference. So he went out and found this package, which actually, when people walked in the door, it analysed their facial expressions, took pictures of their irises, and sent to the reception desk information if they'd ever stayed at the hotel before. Because one of the big criteria was to assess if individuals had been there, if you welcomed them back in a friendly way. He did a report, sent it into the chief executive. As most people in big business, what they do is read the front page of the executive summary and look towards the back at the finance costs associated. What he saw that this program was going to cost £2.4 million, and you can understand it was a very brief conversation we had with the individual and asked him to go away and think about it. This guy was very disillusioned because he put a lot of effort into this and he wanted to make a success of his career. So he went walking by the reception quite disillusioned, and he heard the receptionist at the desk say, "Welcome back to the hotel, how have you been?" And he was a bit bemused by this, so he stopped by and he asked her, "How did you do that?" And she said, "Well, basically, me and the bellboy have this little system. When somebody's come to the hotel, the bellboy asks them if they've ever been to the hotel before." Revolutionary, I know, but bear with me. If they have, he put the bags at an angle to the desk, and if they've never been to the hotel, he put them straight parallel. So all the receptionist had to do was look over the top, see where the bags were, and say, "Welcome back," or "Welcome to the hotel for the first time." Percentage points of customer service through the roof, £2.4 million saved. Thing for me is often to keep things simple. Yes, you can have plans and ideas about where you want to go, and you might have really great ambitions, and we've got some really focused courses in here which will push you in the right direction. But I think you should keep things as simple as possible and follow that first thing about the passion that you had around what you want to achieve. Don't be too prescriptive, because the thing that really annoys my mum is that I don't have a job. She asks me if I'm going to be okay every single week. She phones me up and says, "Timmy, you all right?" And I'm like, "You don't realise I earn more money doing the stuff that I am now, in control of my destiny, than ever before." But what you have to make sure is that you have an idea. You never close yourself off to anything that could come your way by being too focused about setting a very clear, prescriptive goal for yourself, because you might miss some opportunities. Take advantage of everything that's around you. And that leads me into my next P, which is about partnerships. You are surrounded by people who are going to be part of an alumni from this organisation, and you have fantastic institution leaders who want you to do as best as you can. Don't think that you have to do this all by yourself, because actually you haven't got here by yourself. those parents, the people who are here supportive you have helped you to get to this position. And yes, for many, it's been hard to get here. You've had to overcome challenges. But with that combination of perseverance, which is the next P, you've been able to do exactly what you want to do. Who's been told never give up? Who's ever been told that in the room? A few of you. I hate that also, because when you think about perseverance, I think of a fly trying to escape from a window. Keeps hitting its head against it. What you need to do, if you face any obstacles, make sure that you're tenacious and you find different ways to get through. The final P for me is about planetary assistance, just because I struggled to find another one, to be perfectly honest with you. But the reality is that you have to be in the right place at the right time sometimes, and this might be your right time. Don't waste that, because it doesn't come around often. The Q's for me, who's got children in the room? I'm really blessed, I've got 2 of those. When they get to about 3 or 4, what's the question they often ask? Why? That's why I love Wikipedia. Answers all the questions you need to know you don't know as a dad. It's really good. But they ask the question why. And I think us as adults, as we get older, we lose that innocence of children. That's often talked about in the Bible, actually. We lose that innocence of children where we ask those questions about why are we doing this, what do we want, where are we going. Don't lose that natural inquisitiveness that you have, which has probably been why you've actually received these awards where you are today. And the final Q for me is about quality. All too often in difficult circumstances, and you're entering a world that is a very interesting stage in terms of economically, when you're going to go out and find jobs and trying to make the best of the careers that you're going to take forward for yourself, or the businesses that you create. What I think you have to do is not worry about what the easiest, lowest common denominator for some people is, which is to cut costs and find the easiest route to do things. I think what you have to focus on is quality. You are all quality candidates who have done incredibly well to get to where you are. Never forget that, no matter how difficult it might get. You are the individuals who have worked really hard and should be incredibly proud of what you've achieved here today. Focus on that quality aspect, and hopefully everything will come about in terms of what you need. The final story I'm going to leave you is once again finishing on my mum. Who likes seafood here? Anyone? Yeah, a couple of you, good. For those who don't, and I apologise for making you ill for the next couple of seconds. But my mum is a fantastic cook. She's actually a brilliant entrepreneur, but she never knew the word existed to be an entrepreneur. She just called it making ends meet. And what she did was, she used to be able to go out and look at anything that you're wearing, sit at her little Singer sewing machine and make it just without any patterns or anything, and sell it to local neighbours. She was brilliant seamstress. And also she had the ability to make cakes. And these weren't just ordinary cakes, it was fruit that she'd soaked for about 20 years, liquidized down and put it into these cakes, right? And it wasn't soaked in fruit juice, let me put it that way. And once you'd made the cakes, yes, they were very moist, but you could never drive after eating them, they were a bit dangerous. But my mum should have had a business called Curtains and Cakes. That's what she should have done, but she never knew how that was possible, or that was an opportunity for her. And what I want you all to think about is, as well as, yes, going out to work for enterprise, and I think that's incredibly important, think about how you can turn what you have as a skill or a talent into a business for yourself. Because there's a way that you can look at what you have and generate your own income. And no one told me that was possible until I did that terrible thing about going on television and competing on a television show. But what it taught me was seeing it firsthand that it is possible. Now, my mum did it because of necessity. You can do it because of choice. So whatever you do, whatever direction you take in, whether it is a career or it is a business, I really wish you the best of success. And what I'd love to end on is a big round of applause for all the supporters of individuals who are here, who will come to celebrate your success as well. So thank you to all of those as well.
Thank you, Tim, for that very inspirational address to us all. And there are a huge number of important points to keep in mind there as you go forward into life. So, finally, before I invite the chairman of the board to formally close the event today, I would just like, on behalf of all of the staff and the board of management of Inverness College UHI, to wish you all the absolute success into the future and a very enjoyable time that really enables you to succeed with your dreams and aspirations. Thank you. And now, I'd now like to invite Gary Sutherland, the Chairman of the Board of Inverness College Management, to close the assembly. Thank you.
Don't panic, it's not a long speech. I now declare this ceremony formally closed.